Hi, this is Jeline from the Honors Tutorial. Our topic for today is about solving rational inequalities. This is the part 2 of our discussion. So this is general mathematics. Let's have our example. So for this part of the topic, we will have x over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 2 minus 3 over x minus 1. Let's solve. For our solution, I am advising you to copy the given first. So we have here x over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 2 minus 3 over x minus 1. And this is what we are going to do. This equation at the right side, we have to transpose all of them at the left side of the equation. So it will become x over x minus 1, transpose this. Then it will become negative 2, so minus 2. Let's transpose this. Then it will become plus 3 over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. Then after that, we have to continue solving. As you can see, we have here 2 as a whole number. But the other terms that we have here is a fraction. So therefore, we have to change this into a fraction. So it will become over 1. And then, as you can see here, we have here both x minus 1 and x minus 1. So therefore, if we get the LCD and then 1, we also have that, it will become x minus 1. Then let's solve. X minus 1 divided by x minus 1, that's x. X minus 1 divided by 1, that is x minus 1 times 2. So let's copy first minus 2 here and then times x minus 1 plus x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. So that's 1 times 3. So that's 3. And then of course, don't forget to have your LCD here below, and that is x minus 1. Don't forget this part. So this is very important. So that is less than or equal to 0. Then let's continue solving. Now we are going to focus on this part. We have to distribute negative 2 to all of the terms inside the parentheses. So this is what we're going to do. So copy x. So x, negative 2 times x, so that is negative 2x, so minus 2x. And then negative 2 times negative 1, that's positive 2, so plus 2. Don't forget this, plus 3. And then of course, let's have the LCD a while ago, and that is x minus 1. And then don't forget this part because that is very important as I have mentioned before. So that is less than or equal to 0. Let's combine like terms here. So we have here x minus 2x, that is negative x. And then 2 plus 3, so that is 5. So plus 5 over the LCD or the denominator, which is x minus 1. Don't forget this. That is less than or equal to 0. So now this will be our equation. But again, this is not the final answer yet. I just want you to remember this part. So again, we will be having negative x plus 5 over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. This is our equation. So let's continue. I will just erase the left side of our solution so that we may continue solving for the given. Let's solve for the critical values here. Of course, we will be having the numerator and the denominator separately. So we have here negative x plus 5, and for the denominator, that is x minus 1. Both of them should be equated to 0. So equals 0 equals 0 here. So we have here negative x is equal to transpose positive 5. So that's negative 5. If you want to have a positive x here, which is our goal, please multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative x, that's x, positive x. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. So therefore, first critical value is 5. Next, let's transpose negative 1 at the right side of the equation. So that is x equals 1. So our critical values are x equals 5 and x equals 1. So let's continue solving. Let me just erase the right side of the solution. Please remember this equation, which is negative x plus 5 over x minus 1, that is, which is less than or equal to 0. We will use it later. So let's have our number line here where we are going to have our interval. Let's have this. So at the left side, we have here the negative infinity, and of course, we have here the positive infinity also. And then we have here our critical values. Those are 5 and 1. So this is 1, this is 5. And then we have to have our intervals. So on the first part, again, as I have advised you on the first video, please have the border. So therefore, you may know how many intervals you should have. Okay, so let's have the first one. So x is less than 1, or you can write it as negative infinity and 1. Next, for the middle interval, you can have x is greater than 1 but is less than 5. But you can also have 1 and 5. Simply as this. Next, for this, you can have x is greater than 5. That's it. Or you can have 5 and positive infinity. Now let's have our sign table. Remember the parts that we should have. I will just erase the left side of the solution so that we may continue solving. Let's have the sign table. Again, the first part is the interval. So the intervals that we have here is x is less than 1. And then we also have here x is greater than 1 but is less than 5. Lastly, for the interval, we have here x is greater than 5. And then for the second line here, we should have our test value. Again, for the test value, you are going to choose the values yourself. But you have to satisfy the interval that you have. So x is less than 1. So therefore, you can have 0 here. Because 0 is less than 1. Next, we have here x is greater than 1 but less than 5. Then you can use 2 here. X is greater than 5, you can use 6. Next, we should also have the numerator of our equation, and that is negative x plus 5. And then we should also have our denominator here, and that is x minus 1. And for the last part, we should have negative x plus 5 over x minus 1. Let's solve now. Let's have the test value of 0. So we have here negative x plus 5. Substitute 0 to x, so that is 0 plus 5. So negative times 0 is 0. Kasi we have here 1 beside x. So that's negative 1 times 0. That's 0. Plus 5. So that is 5. A positive number. So write plus here, since we are using the sign table. Next. Let's have x minus 1, but still we are going to use the test value, which is 0. So we have here x minus 1, therefore it will become 0 minus 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So the sign is negative, write negative here. Positive divided by negative, that is negative, so negative. Next, let's have the test value, which is 2, positive 2. So we have here negative x plus 5 is equal to negative 1 here. Negative 1 times 2, the test value, plus 5. So that is negative 2 plus 5. So that is positive 3. Sign is positive, so plus here. And then we have here x minus 1. The test value is still 2. X is 2, so minus 1, that's 1. Positive. Positive divided by positive is positive. Next. So we have here the test value, which is 6. So let's have negative x plus 5. So again, there is a number here that is invisible, that is 1. So negative 1 times 6 plus 5. So that is negative 6 plus 5. That is negative 1. Sign is negative. Next. Let's have x minus 1 here. X is 6 minus 1, so that's 5. Sign is positive. Negative divided by positive is negative. So remember, our equation earlier. I will show it to you again. And that is negative x plus 5 over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. So therefore, the interval that we have to have is less than or equal to 0. So if we are going to look for those, we cannot use it, this positive, because if we will be having positive numbers that is greater than 0. And if we are going to use negative numbers, then it will satisfy this equation, which is stating that negative x plus 5 over x minus 1 should be less than or equal to 0. So those numbers that are less than 0 are negative numbers. So let's have this. So we will be having x is less than 1 and also x is greater than 5. We are referring to the interval that we have here. But please notice this. It is because we have here the or equal to part here. So therefore, we should have one number in either x is less than 1 or x is greater than 5 that will contain the equal part or the equal to part. We cannot use 1 because it will make our denominator 0. So the equation will be equal to 1. So x is less than 1 will remain as x is less than 1. But for x is greater than 5, we will have x is greater than or equal to 5 because we can use 5 itself in our denominator because it will not make our equation an undefined equation. And also, aside from this, you can write your answer as negative infinity and 1. Please have the union because we are referring to this two. And then please use a bracket here instead of a parenthesis because we have here our equal to sign here. So meaning that 5 is included and then we have here positive infinity and then parentheses. And that's it. This is the answer. Thank you for listening here in our part 2 of solving rational inequalities. If you have inquiries about us, kindly message us via our FB page. Thank you for today and God bless. Bye.